And we are live. Hello and welcome. So another month has passed and we're now looking at another episode of Decred and the State of the Market. I'm here with Exitus as always. How are you, Exitus?
I'm doing great. Let's talk some Decred. Let's talk about these proposals. Let's talk about this creative refresh and see kind of where the community's at.
Yeah, it'd be good. I mean, as far as the main proposal, the vote turnout was actually quite low, but I actually think that that was mainly because it's the summertime and most people aren't kind of as active. But it passed pretty convincingly. Let's just bring that up. And generally, I think it's got a lot of support from what I'm seeing anyway. Generally, it looks like there's a lot of support from the community, and I think most people want to see Decred kind of reposition itself and actually kind of clean up a bit of its message, clean up its website, so everything's consistent, so everything flows a lot better. Um, and generally, this is a lot of work. I mean, for anyone of you that's run websites before and tried to do a rebuild of a website, it's actually in many cases actually harder than actually building the website in the first place, because kind of you have to go back and you look at all the things that have been done and all the things that have to be changed. Um, and the price seems fairly reasonable. I mean, I know we've had some discussions and some people have said, hey, it's quite expensive, but if I'm honest, if the work on the Decred docs is thorough, that money be well spent just in that area, as far as I'm concerned. Just kind of getting that up to scratch. I think that'll be a massive undertaking, and then getting the three websites consistent, or four websites, I think you said it was going to do. Is going to be an absolute bonus, and I'd really like. I mean, I'm going deeper into the conversation, so I won't say any more. We'll come back to that. But Exis, what are your general thoughts on the Signal proposal, how it's going so far?
Well, it passed. The community voted and said, "Hey, we would like to continue with this and kind of move to this next phase of picking one of these three designs or rejecting all three because the community can technically reject all three." Um, but yeah, this is for four different websites. It's for decred.org, the docs, Politea, but actually five, Bison Relay, and the Bison Wallet. So it's actually five different websites. So if you look at the price versus what we're getting, it's I think it's a decent deal, and they're a team that has done a few different websites and projects before. There's three different people. There's a web developer, a graphic designer, and then Aaron who's leading it all. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited where the community goes with this. I think there's some interesting ideas in the overview deck. And like you were saying, if this also includes like refreshing and updating the documentation, which I think is really important because there's stuff on our documentation page that is like 6 years old and it just doesn't really make much sense. And the project has done a lot since then, so I think it would really benefit us greatly to have eyes come in and make that professional. But I'm curious to see how Politeia would turn out. I quite like the way Politeia looks right now, but I'm curious to see how that would change and with this new proposal. Currently, I'm kind of leaning towards the minimalist manga, um, but I've seen people kind of like all three of them. We do have a bunch of reference art, which they've given us to kind of see, what direction we're going to go with. But what's interesting about this proposal is they're not going to submit the third and final proposal, which is the one that actually requests billing until the community is happy with the final product. So we're allowed to kind of, make suggestions with them along the way. So it's not just, oh, they submit their website and that's it. So there's going to be a process of feedback and then making alterations, which I think is really, really good to see.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is the first time that we've kind of had an outside agency come in and propose it in this way, where they said, look, firstly, I want to see if you want us to do the work. Secondly, here's the options. And thirdly, vote on whether you like what we've produced. Um, as we've done in private chats, and I'll just kind of specify here, the process at the minute is slightly messy, but actual fact, you can't deny the actual process is kind of confidence assuring. So basically, working through these steps builds up confidence in the people actually doing it, and I do quite like that. And I think Aaron's been quite well spoken. He's kind of bumped a couple of heads in private chats, but generally he looks like he means well, and he looks like he's heading in the right direction. And like you said before, actually having fresh eyes on Decode content is actually massively beneficial. It's not until something like this comes along that you realize the pace at which Decred has moved just since I've been here for the last, I don't know, 6-7 years. It's just moved so quickly, and things have kind of progressed so fast, and they've moved from these models that kind of start a little bit centralized and then move into the decentralized, like our mixing network, like our governance. Like pretty much everything has started this way, and then it's moved into a really decentralized fashion, and things have been updated, things have been improved, things have been completely removed, and new things have come along. And now it's quite nice to say, hey, let's take a step back, let's get everything up to date, let's rethink about our narrative, let's think about the direction that we're heading, and then we can move forward in a more coherent fashion. And I do quite like that, actually. So it's quite nice. But without further ado, let's bring up the screens, and let's just have a look at what is on offer here. So let's just see the proposal. There's 3 of them. I know Exodus likes the dark mode, so let's go dark on it. So there's 3 options. So you've got the cypherpunk stroke solar punk, which is the first one. And I'm leaning more towards that, but I'm not bothered. I think actually all 3 are going to be suitable for what Decred is. So in terms of my voting power, I'll probably go for the solar punk, but actual fact, I think all 3 have merits. Then there's a cyber.
So yeah, it's tough because some of the reference art for each one is quite different. Like in the cyberpunk, their initial kind of panel, I wasn't into it, but I think with some of that new art, I definitely like it, as long as it stays true to Decred colors of like blue and green and black. But yeah, some of the art there was really cool, and I quite like that kind of Greek statue aesthetic, which I think resonates with our governance model. So yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Exodus. I also like the fact that it revolves around building. And I think that's what resonates with me a lot, is a lot of the structures, this kind of floral and grass and kind of nature growing out of buildings. And especially this one here, which is today's feature image. I quite like that. And it's this idea that Decred is futuristic, it's constantly building, it's kind of evolving, it's efficient, and it kind of has all of those things. And like Exodus said with the governance, and I don't know if I've gone past it or not, but there was some here they are. We've got some governance statues and things like that, which I think look really cool.
Yeah, I really like that aesthetic. It's just it's interesting because those pictures are so different from the other reference art found in the same folder, the cypherpunk. So but I know I thought that was great too. Honestly, I think I'd be happy with any direction the community picks. So I don't think there's going to be necessarily a bad choice, again, as long as it stays true to the Decred color scheme, and it doesn't come across as like, oh, this is a website for the Green Party,
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And all of these kind of models here, you'd have to have the Decred kind of color schemes and aesthetic there. And that's why I say this one here kind of resonates more. Maybe there's a palette difference there to Decred, but it does resonate, and it doesn't necessarily say, hey, we're green and we're trying to save the planet or anything like that. But it does say, to me anyway, it says, we're efficient, and when you look at things like how our hash rate is and how our security model works right now, we are ridiculously more efficient than pretty much 99% of the systems out there, which is absolutely awesome. Which one did you say you liked? The minimalist one? Is that right?
Yeah, the minimalist one was pretty cool.
So this is a manga minimalist. It's kind of like from the Japanese art. Yeah, I don't mind this. Very, very kind of
It's a bit darker,
cafe, isn't it?
A bit darker, bit cypherpunk. But even that, I wouldn't want like anime girls on the website. But I just think some of the aesthetic here is pretty cool.
No, I think the anime girls is kind of, I don't know, not well. It's not cliche as such. It kind of provocative, I suppose, and then you have to ask yourself, is that really what Decred's about, I suppose? But when you get these kind of structures, these kind of backwater structures, kind of living in the future but kind of struggling against depression kind of look, and I definitely think that has a Decred ethos to it, you know, struggling against the middleman, struggling against kind of what's coming next, you know, trying to preserve kind of sovereignty. So yeah, the minimalist movement, in terms
I
of
like
this
how
is,
there's like a, if you look on the right there, just scroll up a little bit on the right. There's a guy with just like a gun. Yeah,
yeah, that's
this is hilarious.
that's a film where he gets, what the hell is that film
Yeah,
called?
it's called Falling Down.
Falling Down, yes. And
Yeah.
actually, if you haven't seen Falling Down, that's a great film. Yeah, no, I like that one. No, I don't mind the. I think it was up here. Yeah, these kind of graphics here, where it's kind of like very very cypherpunk, very, Rage Against the Machine kind of stuff, isn't it? Yeah, I don't mind that.
Yeah, it's very rebellious.
And like you say, again, if we're going to go down this route, making sure that we keep the Decred color schemes and thing. And I actually think, in terms of what Decred represents, that's really important. Just this color scheme, and then we can move down the direction whichever anyone wants. But before we move on, let's just do the last one. Now, the Space Western. This is more like Aaron's actual theme for his persona, isn't it? So if you
Yeah.
ever look at Aaron's blog, he's very much gone down this route for himself, hasn't he? What do you like about this? I don't
Initially,
mind if
I from that initial overview deck, I like this one the most. But I think after, I don't know, some of the reference art, it's like, I don't know if having cowboys on the website would instill much confidence in people. Like, I don't know. I think the art's cool, but like having guys on horses, it just be like, what is this? Is this a game? Is this? And I think at some point you have to be serious with this stuff, and go
But
along with the Decred aesthetic for what it's always been.
I think in terms of this one, what it kind of resembles to me is the Wild West, and that kind of resembles scam. You know, if you think about the Wild West and everything being
Yeah,
uncertain and people killing
yeah.
for your money and things like that, and I think that's not really a direction I'd like to go down.
That's a great point. You should make a comment about that, because I hadn't thought
I,
about that. But you're right. It doesn't really represent governance so much. I know it's trying to push the whole sovereign thing, but a big part of Decred sovereignty is that governance model. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Wild West theme, and I'd almost say that, you know, Decred is kind of almost anti Wild West, isn't it? It's kind of more about um, structure, and it's more about foundations. So yeah, this one probably doesn't. I mean, I love the art. If I'm honest, I love kind of these bits here where the Cowboys kind of got a backdrop against him. So I don't mind it, but I guess it doesn't quite sit right with me. But either way, it'd be fine. You were talking about the deck, so let's just bring that up while we're just so people can see that. We've got 104 people watching. If you guys want to leave a comment, tell us which one you like. It'd be great to hear from you guys. We do get all Twitter comments, and we'll get all of the YouTube comments as well. So feel free to do that. So here's the 3 deck slides. So the Solar Punk one, which I guess when you look at it like this, it does look, hey, with a green party, we're trying to save the planet. Which I guess isn't really what we're trying to do. I'm more, the actual post that I've used for this live stream. I much prefer that kind of aesthetic where it looks futuristic, it looks clean, it looks minimal, and it's in those lovely tall buildings, just to show, hey, Decred's building. Then there's the Cyber Western, and then there's the minimalist manga. So yeah, loads and loads of stuff to think about there. But if you guys are interested in reading this proposal, it's proposals.decred.org, and currently it's under review. So people are talking about it. So you can leave your comment, and when you go into it, you actually can have. Once it loads, my machine's been a bit slow today. There we go. Once you load into it, if you scroll down a little bit, you've got these links here, which you can click on, and it will take you to the art pages that we've just shown. But yeah, I think in terms of it, I think now I've kind of looked at it again, probably the solar punk and the minimalist manga probably sit better with me, if you know, just based on that very simplistic review. Coolio.
That's exciting. I'm surprised we haven't seen more comments, because this is an easy proposal to comment on. What do you like? What do you not like? There's nothing advanced here to kind of understand or comprehend. But yeah, this is really exciting, and I hope one passes. I hope we get to see this.
I hope so. I think it's something that's needed, and I hope that Aaron and his team kind of can really fulfill these kind of promises. And the work involved is it's actually substantial. So hopefully they can do that. But the next thing on my list, so obviously the look and feel is one thing, and then the next part of the proposal is the kind of changing the messaging and changing the narrative, or not necessarily changing the narrative, but making it more consistent and actually making the main websites more consistent. Now, myself and Exitus, in our private chats over on Bison Relay, for anyone looking for ultimate privacy in their chats and their group chats and their communications, Bison Relay is the place that you need to get onto. It's absolutely awesome. You can talk freely with your friends, like me and Exitus, always having chats pretty much regularly. And you can talk freely, and it's absolutely wonderful. And one of the things that came up in one of our chats is the Decred website. So I think the Decred website is a great website. As you scroll down, you get these lovely kind of feature panels, and then you get this live data, and absolutely love this. The one thing that I would like in terms of consistency, the one thing that I'd like to see is in this top area. I mean, if we think about this from a Decred perspective, Decred has moved on slightly from having this really awesome sound money cryptocurrency, and it now builds products, and it actually builds products that pretty much everyone wants. It builds products like an interoperable exchange with no middlemen, Bison Wallet, that any community can patch into and develop for. It builds a communication-driven privacy platform in Bison Relay. Now, when you come to the decred.org website, what's the first thing you don't see? You don't see the products. And on most pages, you'd have a button here with a drop down that says products, so you could click on the Bison Relay, you could click on Bison Wallet, and it kind of locks everything together. That being said, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, it is here somewhere. So you've got our timestamping service. That's another thing that we actually don't promote enough, isn't it? We've actually got Bison Wallet, Bison Relay, Timestamply, DCR Data, Politeia. Jamie Holstock has also got a really good website where it shows a whole bunch of data on nodes and then the Lightning node website. And it'd be nice to have all of them things in a product page, so you don't have to kind of search for it. You come to decred.org and it's right there. What do you think about that idea, Exitus, or am I talking out my hat?
Yeah, for sure. I think there can definitely be improvements to the website, not just in the features and the products, but even if you go to the exchanges area, just it may be something that's a little bit more, I don't know, simple, of like, hey, click here to buy Decred.
That's so obvious, isn't it? Exchanges, click here to buy Decred.
And there's kind of this weird space in between the exchanges, and if you scroll up, you have to actively like scroll down to see the exchanges, which is strange. And also, I guess the wallets page could be a little more, I don't know, newbie friendly in a way. It kind of just throws a lot at you, and for most people, you're going to want to credit on, or is Cake Wallet on there?
Cake Wallet is like a third-class citizen on our own website.
Yeah.
Is that when you think about it? Although you and I, we love Decrediton, we love Bison Wallet, but if a newbie comes to Decred, they're going for cake wallet first. There's no ifs or buts. That's the one they're going for, or
Yeah.
trust or Exodus. I'm not even sure we should have trust on it anymore. Does trust even work anymore? Is it?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
But
see,
yeah, the
I
cake
don't use
wallet
it.
should be like front and center, and it should be like get it on the App Store. I don't even think that it says in the description right there. Cake wallet is a non-custodial wallet for mobile and desktop devices. This is true, but they have yet to add Decred to the desktop version, from what I remember. So it could be a little misleading there. And I think this is what this is kind of all about: is making these fixes, making sure the information's correct, and not screwing over the end user who's new to Decred, and they don't have to learn the hard way, like, oh, Cake Wallet for Decred isn't actually on desktop. So yeah, I think these things can be improved, and I think there really should be screenshots of the wallets themselves rather than just this text, and you know, coming to where the average person is today, where they like to see screenshots, and it's not just text. So maybe breaking away from this kind of more hardcore way of doing things, the typical Decred fashion of maybe appealing to maybe power users rather than kind of the average person. So hopefully this refresh brings us more in that direction of like I said, appealing to the average person these days, right? And I think these guys are pretty experienced with making these types of websites, so they're going to make it really look really good on mobile and the iPad and stuff. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. Just looking at your point there, and I always think about websites from a perspective of users have really short memory or really short attention. So when they click on a website, you've literally got about 5 seconds to kind of sell it to them. And like you said, having a buy Decred here, a link that goes to Cake Wallet or something like that, and a nice little banner for most new people, that'll probably be enough. And then you could still have this section here. I actually think this section is great. I think we should find out if Trust Wallet still works, and Coinomi and Exodus, make sure they still work. I'm pretty sure Trezor and Ledger do. And I'm not even sure about Crypto Power, what the long-term perspective of that is now, really. So, maybe this banner here should say Cake, Decrediton, Bison Wallet, Command Line, boom. And you've pretty much got all the wallets you're ever going to need, really. Yeah, I think so. So I don't necessarily mind that section, but making more out of this one would be good. And it's the same with the exchanges. Ideally, we'd be on Coinbase. So you just have a Coinbase link there, and boom. But the most obvious one for me is probably 3 links, simple swaps, the little quick swap platform change now, maybe. Binance, DCR Dex, just 3 links there. Choose your platform to get your DCR, and then a nice snazzy kind of call to action or whatever. But in general terms, I don't necessarily mind the pages. I think it's quite nice to have the wallets, exchanges, but they should definitely have a product link there that can quickly go off somewhere else. But no, the Decred website is pretty snazzy, actually. Like I say, maybe something similar here, that find out what the top 3 or 4 things that people want to do or know about Decred, and just allow them to do it in this header. And then if they scroll down, they get the main features, which I love this bit, actually. And I love this kind of
the art's pretty the art's quite unique there. But yeah, this supply section and the quick stats is, I think, one of my favorite parts of the website. It's super easy to check and see where you're at with the stake reward and the percent staked and the circulating supply.
See, I'm good with the Decred website the Decred homepage to this point here, and then I'm not sure if I like these as much now. At first I really liked them, but I don't think they're aging.
The text is a little difficult to read here. It doesn't really jump out to you so much, and it's not particularly exciting, and it's just kind of one color.
And all of these things have already been said in this section up here. So if you wanted to, you could even have like a click button here that gives you that information.
That was the goal, was you could click one of these things and it could bring you to the more information. I don't know why that never got implemented. But
Yeah.
hopefully with this, if this creative refresh passes, we can make sure that those things work.
Yeah. But no, I mean, criticisms aside, I generally do like the website. When you guys put this together, I generally had no problem with it at all. If I'm honest, I'm just looking at things and nitpicking now, but that's more to do with kind of, how can we take this further? Now we've got a team that wants to do the work. And let's face it, when you guys put this website together, the new build, I mean, what you're looking at here, I think, there was a good few months worth of work there between 3 or 4 of you, wasn't there?
Yeah, it was like a month or two. I mean, the goal was just kind of to make it a little more, feature rich and explain Decred's features, because the last one was just super vague and it didn't really say much about what Decred was. And I know their goal was to make things simple, but if you go to the website and you don't know what that, you ask the question, what is Decred? What is it even doing? It was kind of hard to learn, but I felt like the updated version, it was like a month or two, and I think it cost like $2,000 or $3,000 with like 3 or 4 different contributors in total. So it wasn't much money, and we kind of gave it a little facelift, and it's not perfect. And like I said, you scroll down, it's not super exciting, but I'm totally in favor of the creative refresh.
Yeah, I think
Another
so.
another problem with this website is the languages don't work. If you go to the English and try to put other languages, it doesn't actually translate it. So that was pretty disappointing that no one kind of came and did that. So
Oh, that's it. So yeah, clearly it should change all of these graphics
yeah, it
and
should.
stuff,
If
shouldn't
you're
it?
changing the language, it should change the language. So it's small things like this. You can't overlook these things. It's just Decred's a professional project. It's in the top 200, and we can't be apathetic with these types of things. So uh, I was kind of disappointed with that. And that's things I kind of check for, just to make sure everything is up to standard.
Um, yeah, and I think with a lot of these languages, I remember when we was going through the Cypherpunk Times stuff, and there was people saying about the language stuff. And one thing Ghost, the platform that we use for Cypherpunk Times, did is it actually had the built-in mechanisms to do a nice conversion on it. And the only languages it didn't work very well with, oh, it was some Arabic language. I can't remember which one it was now. It was the Decred Arabia guys that were saying about it. It didn't actually cross over very well, but Spanish and French all crossed over pretty well, and a few of the other ones. But yeah, in this day and age, and I suspect Aaron and his team have got their AI tools ready to go on the language conversion stuff, so that hopefully should be a relatively easy thing to do. Um, the other thing that I've kind of got listed in my notes here that I'd like to see, and I think Decred could probably benefit massively from this, is actually having a contractor onboarding page. Now, I believe that exists, but it would be nice if it was front and center. Say, hey, want to be a Decred contractor? Here's the projects you can get involved in, and here's how you do it. Um,
Yeah,
and I
there should be an
think
area where it's like it says or Decred or how to get Decred. You can
here we
buy
go.
it, you
Look,
can stake it, you can mine it, or you can become a contributor.
yeah, so at the bottom you can become a contributor, and there's some guidelines here, and I think that would be quite nice to have front and center, and hopefully they go through that and just kind of walk people through. Hey, how do you reach out to the team? What projects can you get involved in? Um, and it would be lovely to see, especially, I mean, you and I have talked about this quite a bit about getting other communities involved in DCR decks. For instance, Monero developers, Zcash developers, Digibyte developers, if they're still around. It would be really nice to kind of bring these people in, show them, even have a work board that says, hey, this needs doing, this needs doing, this needs doing, so people can actually just kind of chip away at the work board. I mean, it's something in some of the old sites that I used to run. We used to do quite a bit. We used to employ third party teachers. We'd say, look, anyone fancy creating a course on this on this specific thing, we'll pay you this amount of money. We need it by then. And here's the overlay of what needs to happen. And it'd be nice just to kind of bring in that talent and kind of make that happen. So yeah, the becoming a contractor page, it'd be great to see more of a thing made out of that and actually have a workboard. Because I would imagine, and this is just me talking off my hat again, but I'd imagine that there's quite a lot of developers out there that could probably get involved in Decred if the inclination was right. So yeah, so that was the thing I've got on my list. What was the other thing you said about?
I think that was it.
Yeah, cool. The other thing, which doesn't pertain to this website, it pertains to this one. So if we're going through this and looking for consistency, one thing I mean I've said this a few times, it would be nice maybe to have this on the Decred website. We had a markets page. So at the moment we have our rates page. So if you click on the rates, let me just refresh that. Oh, that's not good. That's gone. So normally when it's working, we have a rates page.
That page needs updating. Right now, it only looks at Bison Wallet for prices, and the prices are kind of all over the place with Bison Wallet. So I requested a while ago that they add the Binance rate, and I don't know what's going on with that, but I know that does need to be updated, and I think some of the developers did do work on that to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, when I think about this, I think our exchange rate and our statistics probably should be over on the website on the exchange page, and I look at this lovely website that I can never pronounce his name, but Bochinski Hero developed, where you've got loads and loads of really great data for how DCRDEX is going, and you can filter this data. So if you want to get rid of certain things, you can filter it. You can look at all the various mechanisms. You can look at our monthly volume, how it's all doing. And it is things like this, and maybe even an improved version of this, really, something, more dynamic maybe, but this is pretty decent. It goes for all the different data. And I think when people are looking for, especially the current state of the crypto market, when they go to their exchange pages, that's one thing that they might want to see, have a look at the analytics for it. As well as having
you don't want to send people to like illiquid exchanges. I mean, right now it's obviously Binance and MEXC, and then Bison Wallet are kind of the main places you're going to be buying Decred, and maybe some of the swap exchanges if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah. I mean, you could even include that data as well, but that's one of the other things I'd noted here about kind of just if we're going to have an exchange rate page, it would be great to have have a bit more data, have it a bit more flowing and stuff like that. But what else did I have on here? Contractor page update. Yeah, we said about updating the Decred docs. Once again, Decred moves at such a fast pace that there's probably quite a bit there that kind of that needs looking at. The other thing that was talked about was a Decred roadmap, and I was having a think about this again today. What do you think generally about the idea of a Decred roadmap?
Well, I understand why people are against it because they don't want false expectations on what's coming. But I think the reality is you always need to appeal to the end user, which is the average user, and they are going to want that type of thing. They don't want to have to do research on GitHub or Twitter on, okay, what's Decred doing? They want a simple list. This is what's coming. Maybe just say there's no specific time frame for what's coming, but there's a bunch of different items we could list right now on what's kind of being worked on, what's under the hood. For instance, the Pong and the poker for Bison Relay, on the DEX, the mesh network, Monero support. So I mean, there's things happening, and maybe there's things I don't even know about because it's hidden away somewhere. So I think having a formal roadmap would just be beneficial. I mean, people love roadmaps. There's no way around that. So yeah, I would be all for it, and I could help put it together, with what I know, and ask whether it's always just good to know what the developers are doing, right?
Well, it also brings the developers and community together because they know what the outline is and they know what the general target's going to be. moving forward. And I think a lot of the problem with roadmaps in general is they try to be too short term. And even having like a 5-year roadmap or a 10-year roadmap is probably more suited to how Decred works. Things are so innovative with Decred that they naturally take a lot of time. You look at how Bison Wallet or DCR Dex has come along, and it's taken a good 4 or 5 years to kind of get it out of a state where it's really hard to use into a state that most people now that are quite familiar with crypto can probably set it up, can probably load their coins in, and can make a trade probably within a few minutes, half an hour or so, once the bonds are settled. And it really has kind of evolved over that, and there's even talk now to kind of improve that even further. It's in terms of pairs, in terms of the mesh network, all these things are happening. And likely the mesh network will probably still take a year, maybe 2 more years to kind of get finalized and get into production. So, having that roadmap with that listed on it, and maybe even the steps that are complete and the steps that are currently being worked on. I know most people don't like to give away kind of, so people don't front run them. But it would be nice just to kind of say, look, these are the things that are happening. And also from an outsider's point of view, if you're interested in building mesh networks, or if you're interested in becoming a liquidity provider or building market maker bots or things like that, it can be things that you can get involved in. And once you see it on the roadmap, it exists, and say, oh, actually, I'm really interested in this, and I think I could help out. So yeah, the roadmap, I think, is absolutely essential. And there is so much going on. There's so much going on in Decred. With Bison Wallet and Bison Relay and Cake Wallet and just across the board, there's just so much going on. So yeah, that was the other thing. One, actually, I'll come back to that. But do you have anything to add to that?
No, basically, I just think a roadmap would be beneficial, and we should work to put one together, especially for this creative refresh. So yeah.
Yeah,
if it passes, just in theory.
Yeah, but it gets people talking as well. The fact that Aaron and his team have brought this to us, and they've kind of, they're highlighting all these things. It does get you thinking about things from an outsider's perspective. And I think that's something we always have to keep in mind is it does take a little bit of time to get used to what Decred is. It's, it's quite an advanced project. There's quite a lot going on, but it also takes a lot of time to realize that Decred really is quite amazing in what it's trying to do. And it's not just a word salad, or it's not just a kind of project saying all these fancy words and not delivering it. To date, it has delivered on every single promise that the original roadmap had. And I think that's another reason why, coming into the 10-year mark in February, it would be really great to have a roadmap for the following 10 years. So look, this is still where we're headed, and we're still very, very serious. There was a few other things on DCR data that could be done, like the difficulty and hash rates, charts that probably need to be improved. There was the parameters page and the attack calculator as well that should be looked at, really. But it would be really nice to see DCR data kind of get a few of those updates, just to bring it up to date. It's such a great blockchain explorer, and it represents us so well. It'd be nice to see that kind of coming along a bit. Did you I don't know what happened to the Bison Explorer team. I haven't heard much from them lately, but what they were doing I thought was quite interesting.
Yeah, that was just one guy. I don't know what's going on there, but I had spoken to him at one point. He had wanted to put together a proposal for it, but I don't know why he didn't do it. But that was a nice alternative, and it just goes to show, when you have open source code, anyone could come and fork it and do what they want. Let's see. Looks like Bison Explorer is down now. So
Oh, is it? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
But no, there was some nice stuff on that. some of the charts that he was trying to put together were good. But ultimately, and he did reach out to me about putting a proposal together, and I did say to him that yeah, I completely support the direction, but I think it should all be brought back to DCR data, if I'm completely honest. And what Bison Explorer was, it was like you say, it was a clone of DCR data with all these added improvements. And it would have been nice just to kind of get them piled back into DCR data, so we could have all of those features and then just do a cleanup on it, really. So I thought that was quite a good initiative. My final note here was about the Decred Constitution, and Aaron and Dave C were having a conversation about this, and I thought it was quite interesting. Let me just put it into the Explorer. So the idea with the Decred Constitution is it's meant to be a static document that can actually be upgraded for a consensus vote. And there was a few points that Aaron brought up about it kind of probably needing an update about, and I forget, it was something to do with the way the treasure is stored in a company, and obviously that's not true anymore. And Dave C was basically saying that it's the way it's worded, it's still true. And if you want to get that, is it there? Decred Holdings Group, there it is. So if you want to get that piece of data removed or updated, the constitution, Decred's constitution, actually needs to go through a proposal vote, which I thought was really, really cool. Actually, it's nice, and I always forget about the constitution, but it's nice that we have this. It's nice that, actual fact, this document is not allowed to be changed unless it goes to stakeholders. And I thought that was really cool. And if you're interested in what Decred believes in and the core principles, this still represents us very well. Did you happen to catch that conversation, and what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw some of the conversations. I mean, I don't have any strong opinions on it. It was an interesting discussion. But yeah, I'm all for the Constitution. I don't think it necessarily needs to be edited, but hey, if they want to make some changes to it, it can go through a proposal, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the important thing, as long as it goes through a stakeholder proposal. And I think that's great. And I suspect other cryptocurrencies have got this, but it really does say a lot about what we're trying to do here. So that was the last bit on my list of things that I thought that this refresh could kind of consider, put into action, and just kind of go through, or probably would include. So yeah. Any other thoughts from you? And guys in the community, we've got 172 people watching. So if you are interested in commenting and having us talk about anything you guys want us to comment about, leave us a comment now, and we'll get to it. But any other thoughts on that?
So just thoughts in general as we wrap up here. Definitely comment on the proposal, say what you like, say what you don't like. I feel like we have this thing where people like to comment their opinions on proposals on Twitter or on Element, which is Matrix. And for some reason, people aren't commenting on the proposals themselves, which I find odd. And I know Aaron wants to see the comments on the proposal so he can address the comments there, and it's all transparent. So, say what direction you like and what you don't like. It's easy. It takes a few minutes, and it's easier to get feedback that way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, unfortunately, let me just head over to proposals. But unfortunately, I think we've still got a massive voting kind of dynamic going on. We've got a good 10 to 20,000 votes every single proposal, which is absolutely awesome. The current one. Let me just bring it up. The current proposal that's looking at adding more nodes to the testnet, currently at 12,000 votes, which is absolutely awesome that people are still voting. But in terms of comments, it's very it's very slow. But I don't know. Dave C's commented, Aaron's commented. So that's maybe maybe I should start commenting a bit more. I do tend to comment on most, um, but I always get the impression whenever I comment, it's what I already think is on these live streams. So I don't want to influence a vote too much, because I think it's important that everyone has their own kind of thoughts about it. But yeah, it would be nice to see more people commenting for sure. So there is your cue, guys. Get commenting on these latest three. Tell us what you think. Did you see that Bison Wallet 1.04 is now up as a release candidate?
No, I did not. Let me check.
So I believe Buck is looking for testers. It's got a whole bunch of features. They're putting the notes together, and it'd be great to see what you think. But that is about 6 months worth of work, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it as tagged.
Where did I see that? It's over on Matrix. Yeah, so maybe it's not quite ready yet. Maybe I'm jumping the gun there. I think that was in the dev
well,
the dev channel.
He had said that they were working on maybe a new UI, and they were going to have like paid testers. So, but yeah, 1.0.4 is not ready.
Yeah, it was on the dev channel, on the DCR Dex dev channel. So yeah, it's not ready yet. So I might have jumped the gun on that one. Apologies, but it looks like there's lots going into it. So that should be really, really interesting.
Okay.
No,
yeah, that's good if they want to bring in testers, and I'll help test it.
Yeah. So the only thing I always have trouble with is actually is building it from source, but I need to get better at that. I've been on 2 occasions now. Victor has been trying to walk me through building from source for his Pong game, but the Flutter builds are absolute nightmare. So I need to sort out my Flutter on my system. It keeps crashing. It keeps being a pain. I think it's because I haven't installed it properly. But we got really, really close last week to actually playing our first game of Pong, but it's still not there. On my machine, I've got a couple of permission issues. But as I understand it, the Windows version now works. So I don't know if they've reached out to you to do some testing on that yet. No, we're still waiting for the Bison Relay next version so that you get the RPC stuff. But yeah, it's getting pretty close. It's getting pretty close. Like I say, there's a permission issue where it's not creating the correct folder for Pong. But once that's resolved, I should be able to play, and I should be able to show you guys and demo that. That's pretty much everything from my notes. But yeah, absolutely what Exa says. Get commenting. Hope you guys like the proposal. Absolutely loads of stuff going on. But I think that's pretty much it for me. Have you got any last words, or are we signing off?
Yeah, I think that's really it. I mean, usually development gets a little bit slower in the summertime, so there hasn't been too much to talk about on that front. As you just said, we're still waiting on the Pong, and there's a new release of Bison Relay about to come out. And obviously, they're still working on the Monero swaps, the mesh network, and some changes to the UI on Bison Wallet. So that's really about it. But this creative refresh is definitely the main focus for us as a community right now. So again, please comment. This is an easy proposal to comment on, and just say what you like, what direction, and the more comments, the better. But yeah, that's all I have. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. And I hope one of the proposals passes and we get to see this come to life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, looking at what's happening in the charts, and this is just my speculative view, but it looks like we are heading for some really positive momentum. Going probably to later this year after the summer, going into next year. And I think as we get more positive momentum, I'm not talking like these massive pumps to $200, $300. I'm talking just about stabilizing our price at the level we're at and then growing it from there. And that we've been seeing that happening for the last 6 months. And that's actually going to start building confidence. So if we have the refresh along with that, we'll be really well positioned for just moving forward, and building confidence in the project and getting people back or getting new people involved, and showing what we're all about, which is absolutely great. But Exus, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to go find out if England has won or lost the Euros. Last I checked, we were 1-0 down, so the kids and the wife weren't shouting too heavily at the minute. So I haven't heard them score a goal yet. So we'll see. But Exus, everyone in the audience, absolute pleasure, and we'll see you next month. Where hopefully we've got loads more to talk about, and hopefully we can start moving forward. Take care, everyone.
Yep. Goodbye. Thank you.